1. Orheiul Vechi, Old Or. Nestled in the rolling hills of central Moldova, Orheiul Vechi is without doubt the country's most iconic landmark, and a place where history, spirituality, and nature blend seamlessly. This archaeological and historical complex stretches across a dramatic limestone plateau carved by the Răut River, offering breathtaking views and a sense of timelessness. The jewel of the site is the 13th-century cave monastery, carved directly into the cliffside by Orthodox monks, who sought solitude and closeness to God. Visitors can still step inside its narrow tunnels, see the tiny cells where monks once lived, and admire its simple yet powerful chapel that remains in use to this day. Beyond the monastery, the entire area reveals layers of history, with remains of Dacian fortresses, medieval settlements, and traces of nomadic tribes. Walking here feels like stepping back through centuries of human presence. The silence of the cliffs contrasts with the sweeping panorama of green valleys and winding rivers, making Orheiul Vechi not only a spiritual pilgrimage site, but also one of the most beautiful natural landscapes in Moldova. For travelers, it's both a place to explore and a place to pause, reflect, and feel the weight of centuries underfoot. 2. Chișinău. At first glance, Chișinău may seem like a city of concrete and quiet streets, but beneath that first impression lies a capital full of charm, resilience, and surprising depth. Spread across gentle hills and shaded by leafy boulevards, Moldova's capital is a living reflection of the country's past and its determined march toward modernity. Strolling through Stefan cel Mare Boulevard, you'll see the pulse of the city in motion, students chatting at open-air cafes, vendors selling flowers and honey, and street musicians filling the air with warmth. At the heart of it all lies Stefan cel Mare Central Park, the city's green lawn and meeting place for generations. The nearby Triumphal Arch and the Cathedral of Christ's Nativity stand as symbols of faith and endurance, while the National Museum of History tells Moldova's story through wars, independence, and rebirth. Yet Chișinău is not all about history, it's about life in the moment. Modern wine bars, cozy bakeries, and a thriving art scene make it a city that embraces both old and new. The markets burst with color and flavor, where every conversation feels like an invitation to know the people behind the produce. Chișinău may not shout for attention, but it leaves a lasting impression, a city that wears its heart quietly, with honesty and soul. 3. Cricova Winery. Beneath the ground just outside Chișinău lies a world few could imagine, the legendary underground city of wine known as Cricova. Once limestone quarries, these tunnels were transformed into one of the largest and most famous wine cellars on Earth, stretching for more than 120 kilometers. As you descend into this labyrinth, the temperature cools, the light softens, and the scent of oak barrels and aging grapes fills the air. It feels like stepping into a hidden realm dedicated to one thing, the art of winemaking. Visitors glide through tunnels on electric trains, passing streets named after grape varieties like Cabernet, Chardonnay, and Fetiska. Along the way, immense chambers open up into elegant tasting halls, museums, and cellars holding vintage bottles that have survived wars and revolutions. Even world leaders have left their mark here, from Putin's private collection to wines gifted to European royalty. The experience is both cultural and sensory, tastings of Moldova's best sparkling and still wines, paired with traditional food and stories that connect every bottle to the country's soil and soul. Cricova is more than a winery, it is Moldova's underground treasure, a monument to craftsmanship and time, and a place where the essence of the nation is poured into every glass. 4. Mileștii Mici Winery. While Cricova charms with elegance, Mileștii Mici astounds with magnitude. Recognized by the Guinness World Records as housing the largest wine collection on the planet, this subterranean network holds more than 1.5 million bottles within nearly 200 kilometers of tunnels. Driving through its cool, dimly lit corridors feels surreal, row after row of bottles resting in perfect stillness, some dating back to the 1960s. The sense of scale is overwhelming, yet every corner has a purpose. These bottles tell the story of Moldova's passion for winemaking, preserved through Soviet times and proudly carried into the present. Visitors can explore different sections of the underground labyrinth, each dedicated to a specific grape or region, before arriving at grand halls used for tastings and celebrations. Here, long wooden tables, flickering candles, and Moldovan folk music create an atmosphere of genuine warmth and joy. A tasting at Mileștii Mici is more than a sip, it's a ritual, a celebration of tradition, and a moment to understand why Moldova calls wine its lifeblood. This is not merely a cellar, it's a cathedral to the vine, where time is measured not in years, but in vintages. 5. Soroca Fortress. Rising proudly on the banks of the Dniester River, Soroca Fortress is a symbol of Moldova's enduring strength and strategic past. built in the late 15th century by the legendary Stephen the Great. This perfectly circular fortress once formed part of a defensive network that guarded the nation from invaders. Its symmetrical stone walls and 5 towers still stand in remarkable condition, each echoing tales of courage and siege. Today, Soroca welcomes travelers with a sense of awe from its ramparts. You can gaze across the calm flow of the Dniester, imagining the centuries of history that unfolded here. Inside, small exhibits detail the fortress' role in medieval warfare and diplomacy, while outside, the town of Soroca adds cultural richness to the experience. Known as the Roma capital of Moldova, Soroca is home to ornate mansions inspired by global landmarks, reflecting the pride and artistry of the local Roma community. Between the fortress' medieval charm and the town's vibrant modern life, Soroca captures Moldova's dual spirit, ancient and evolving, grounded in history yet alive with creativity. 6. Tipova Monastery. Carved high into the cliffs above the Dniester River, Tipova Monastery is one of the most extraordinary spiritual and natural sites in Eastern Europe. Dating back to the 11th century, it is an entire monastic complex hewn directly into limestone, where monks once lived, prayed, and sought solitude. The silence here is profound, broken only by the sound of the wind and the murmur of the river below. Inside the caves, narrow stairways connect chapels and cells that have remained virtually unchanged for centuries. Legends abound. It is said that Stephen the Great married one of his wives in this monastery, and ancient Dacians may have used the area for pre-Christian rituals. Surrounding the monastery, the landscape unfolds in layers of beauty. Waterfalls tumble down mossy cliffs, wildflowers sway in the breeze, and the view of the Dniester Valley stretches endlessly. Visiting Tipova feels like traveling through both time and spirit, a journey inward as much as outward. It is a place of peace, power, and quiet revelation, where Moldova's natural and sacred heritage become one. 7. Căpriana Monastery. Deep in the heart of the Codru forest lies Căpriana Monastery, one of Moldova's oldest and most revered spiritual centers. Founded in the 15th century and closely tied to the rule of Stephen the Great, this monastery has survived wars, fires, and Soviet oppression, standing today as a symbol of faith's resilience. The complex includes 3 churches, each showcasing a different architectural style, from medieval stonework to elegant neoclassicism. The Church of the Dormition, with its soft golden icons and frescoes, radiates serenity, while the monastery's library and small museum preserve centuries of Moldovan religious art and manuscripts. The surrounding forest completes the experience, a living cathedral of ancient oaks and beeches, where pilgrims and travelers alike find quiet reflection. When the bells ring across the valley and sunlight filters through the trees, Căpriana feels timeless. It's not merely a monastery, it's a testament to Moldova's enduring devotion and the beauty of simplicity, untouched by the rush of the modern world. 8. Saharna Monastery and Nature Reserve. Saharna is a place where divinity and nature meet in perfect harmony. Situated on the Dniester's western bank, this complex is revered for both its sacred relics and its breathtaking landscape. The monastery itself, founded in the 18th century, is known for the footprint of the Virgin Mary, a mark on stone believed to be miraculous and a site of pilgrimage for thousands each year. But it's the surrounding nature reserve that steals the heart. The Saharna River cascades through a gorge, forming 22 waterfalls surrounded by dense forests and limestone cliffs. Trails lead through this serene landscape, offering a mix of hiking, meditation, and discovery. Along the way, visitors encounter hidden caves and natural pools that shimmer in the sunlight. The air here feels cleaner, the silence deeper. Whether one comes to pray or simply to breathe, Saharna renews the spirit. It is a living poem of water and faith, a reminder that the divine can be found not only in churches, but in the rhythm of nature itself. 9. Purcari Winery. In the far southeast, where Moldova's hills slope gently toward the Dniester River, and the Black Sea winds whisper through the vineyards, lies Purcari, a name that resonates across the world of wine. Established in 1827, it is the oldest and most prestigious winery in Moldova, often compared to the great estates of France. Purcari gained international fame when its red wines triumphed at the Paris World Exhibition in the 19th century, proving that Moldova's terroir could rival Europe's best. The estate is a vision of elegance, a grand chateau surrounded by rows of vines glowing under the sun, cellars filled with oak barrels, and tasting rooms that blend history with luxury. Visitors can tour the vineyards, taste award-winning wines like Negru de Purcari, and even stay overnight in beautifully designed guest rooms overlooking the valley. The experience is immersive, sensual, and deeply cultural, every sip telling a story of patience, soil, and craftsmanship. Purcari is not just a winery, it's a living legacy of Moldovan pride, where tradition and excellence have matured together for nearly 2 centuries. 10. Cadru Nature Reserve. Far from the noise of the city, the Cadru Nature Reserve is Moldova's green heart, a vast expanse of forest that has stood untouched for centuries. Established in 1971, it is the country's oldest protected area, and home to some of the richest biodiversity in Eastern Europe, covering over 5,000 hectares. The reserve shelters towering oaks and beeches, wild deer, foxes, and hundreds of bird species. Walking its forest trails is like stepping into another world, sunlight filtering through dense canopies, the scent of earth and pine in the air, and the distant echo of woodpeckers and running streams. The reserve's small natural history museum offers a fascinating look into Moldova's ecosystems, displaying fossils, flora, and fauna found nowhere else. Yet Cadru is more than a refuge for wildlife, it's a place of stillness and renewal for anyone seeking escape from modern life. Every path, every sound, reminds visitors that nature here is not a backdrop, but a living force. In Cadru, Moldova's wild soul still beats strong, ancient, peaceful, and eternal.